The woman spoke. "What do you have to say about objectivity?" The tender responded. Objectivity in and of itself is represented in the scientific method. It is a placing of the respect for things as they actually are above the respect for subjective loyalties. It is to recognize the limitation of the individual particularized perspective and to seek to ascertain the objective truth of a situation by proof. In the innate state, the objective truth is a given. It is a state of things as they are, and there is no countermanding, self-reflective capacity to consider. Life plays out as life plays out. But as the self-reflective capacity arose in man, so arose a new sort of self-interest, the ability to manipulate perception, to give rise to interests that do not pertain to objective requirements, and are thus contrary to objective requirements, even if not immediately recognized or realized as such. The subjective perspective is the expression of a set of needs that has been trained through the circumstances of experience. That set of subjective needs may be closely aligned with objective needs, or they may be very different. To the extent they are different, costs arise. It was not wrong for humans to explore and advance industrial capability, but it was wrong for that exploration and advancement to happen in such a rapacious way. No effective limits were set upon it. It was seen by those with power only with their pride and for the profits that were promised. The degree of the rapaciousness of that development over time can be seen in its costs, the poisoning of the natural environments that we as biological mammalian organisms require to survive. The ability to exploit those environments with such effective tenacity that as a species we have grown while all other species have diminished. And many have disappeared altogether, or are likely to as a result of habitat loss and changing environmental conditions. Humans are not wrong to explore computing technology, but they are wrong to do it in precisely the same way that they embrace the industrial. The effect will be not on the earth but on the minds and lives of man himself, and the cost shall be that much greater, and the cost will be apparent that much sooner. Industry arose out of a diverse and barely connected world. Global trade had existed on and off and to differing extents for thousands of years, but localities remained isolated by the time it took to travel between them, aside from anything else. And so industry took some time to spread. It took 150 years for the glimpses of its true global costs to become apparent. Industry's more local costs had been well documented long before then. They were documented the first time someone noticed the air and water was less clean once the smokestacks fired up. The first time someone lamented leaving the fields and woods for the factory. But modern technology has arisen out of a far more connected, far more globalized world. The contagion factor is far greater, the competition is tighter, the speed of development is faster. Just as in the Industrial Revolution, that their cost is immediately apparent to the locally aware, and it is immediately apparent that the collective costs may be reasonably surmised, and have been. But while those costs have not yet fully manifested, they will not take 150 years to do so. The objective innate state has continued in that man as an organism simply feeds on that which it occurs to him to feed. He grows or shrinks as a species depending on the success of his feeding. Man explores where he finds he may explore, accesses the resources available to him. That in itself cannot be considered incorrect. But with the self-reflective capacity comes a duty to manifest the objective governance of nature, to recognize that governance in the workings of nature, the culling of the herd by the wolf, such that vegetation and all that relies upon it, including the herd itself, may continue to thrive. The objective need is to explore and grow, but the establishment of considered purpose and the establishment of considered self-governance are duties to be maintained along that path. The vast majority of products and services in today's society are extraneous to objective need. They are rooted in subjective needs, in the value placed in them by individuals who have been trained, calibrated to respond favorably, emotionally, to the product or service in question, as if it were required. This process is fed by its own roots. It is fed by man's insistence on seeing himself as somehow separate from the life that feeds him, more blessed than that life. Every human life is thus considered sacred, and thus must be protected and spread. And so entire economies develop to account for the needs of all, regardless of what those needs are, and regardless of their costs, and regardless of their actual objective value. Objective need thus requires exploration, but not just any exploration. It requires very specific exploration. It requires intelligent, considered exploration, exploration that accounts for its benefits as well as its costs. There will always be a cost, but the cost must be to the subjective wherever and to the extent it veers from the objective. Reason alone is insufficient. It is a faculty designed to work in partnership with the faculty of imagination. It is the rein placed on imagination so that imagination doesn't lose its focus. But imagination is also a rein to be placed on reason to guide it towards greater understanding of the more beautiful forms it has witnessed.